So I think you can tell that I was starting to get kind of nervous there at the end. I was doing the OCD stuff. I kept saying like repeating words and stuff. It was like, oh, if you say the word it now, like that's going to be the last time. And it's like I was probably being fed that shit by like basically it's like what, Matt, that's what you're blaming your like crazy like obsessive compulsive stuff on like, fucking aliens or something. It's like, look, I'm not sure I'm going to say anything that's going to be very convincing here, nor am I looking to really convince. I'm looking to describe and actually to perhaps help, perhaps help you and help me, because I think the simplest. It's like, oh, really? Occam's razor, reptilians. I think this. You can go back and watch the other one. I think the simplest, perhaps, meeting point of all these things is probably reptilians. I'm not saying that it's definitely true. I'm just saying it seems like the simple meeting point of all these bizarre things with gang stalking, with the darkness of the world, and seemingly, you hear about the blood drinking or the cannibalism that you hear about in the Epstein files. That you can go check it out. There's a the sexual predatory stuff that goes on. As I said in the monsters thing, Loosh Farm. That's the first thing in monsters, Loosh Farm. And check out my video on what I'm up against and what I got, or plus what I got. Period. I have a picture in there of somebody who seemed who had a and give a quick description of it. You can check it out. But somebody who seemed to potentially be some kind of weird stalkery figure. I'm not saying yay or nay on that, but he said he had a couple of emotes in a Twitch comment, and then it said loosh jammies, and then a couple of other things, and then like an emote or two. And then you can see underneath that he said they're just emotes, or it's just an emote. And it's like, oh, well, what was that in response to? Well, I literally got up and took a picture of the TV screen. I'm glad I did, because I asked him, I was like, loose jammies. What is that? He's like, oh, it's just an emote. I was like, "Oh, okay." And then I looked it up, and of course, loose jammies, like loose pajamas or something. I looked it up on Google. Doesn't seem like there's an emote called loose jammies. So why is he writing loose jammies? Well, loose farm. What's loose? Loose is sort of the term. Apparently, it's from Far Journeys by Robert Monroe. Sequel to Journeys Out of the Body. Second book in the series that ended with Ultimate Journey, which I have read. I didn't read the first two. Specifically, I was like, well, I want to go on the ultimate journey. It's like he apparently he did out of body experiences, and in the second one, he talks about this place is like a loosh farm, basically a place where people are kind of scared, like in the David Icke sense. They feed on your misery, your suffering, your fear. They scare you, and then they feed on it, like the movie Monsters Inc. Now it's like, oh, Monsters Inc. Yeah, wow, that's real credible. It's like, look, they show a lot of stuff in movies. I'm not saying it's because of Monsters Inc. I'm saying similar to what Monsters Inc. seems to be. That seems to be what Robert Monroe was kind of talking about in Far Journeys. What he discovered in out of body experiences, or what he wrote down in the book, anyway. That this place is, as he said, it was supposed to be some place where like they feed off of your negative energy. They feed off of your suffering. So, Loosh Farm, gang stalking with all these people like fucking with you, and they're sensitizing you, perhaps maybe sensitizing you to certain things and hitting you with it over and over again, hitting you with it over and over again, like fucking with the Vietnam veterans PTSD. It's like I use that example because it's like reductio ad absurdum. It shows you sort of an extreme example of like, yeah, when you poke on somebody, when you press somebody's buttons for your own fun, it might not be that extreme, but it's the same function and the same process as pressing somebody's buttons who has like war PTSD. It might not be from a war, it might be from something else, or it might be like a much lower level of it, but it's essentially the same thing. It is the same thing. It's you're pressing somebody's buttons to see them suffer. So you got Gang stalkers seeming to do that, breaking in your shit in your car, maybe spying on you, commandeering your computer. I show some stuff. Check out my gang stalking, what I'm up against video. I have various things, various like screenshots and all these things of like little pieces of what might be evidence for like people doing that kind of shit to me. All right. So, um, that kind of stuff, plus the darkness of our world, where it seems very slanted towards the evil. One, I love Matt McKinley, but I will say, at least in terms of what we're shown on TV and stuff, I don't think Matt McKinley would say like stuff on TV is in any way like evenly balanced. It seems way towards the negative. You look at the news, it's always fucking negative. And it's like, oh yeah, well, negative it sells, or negative they're trying to prepare you for things, or like whatever. What are they going to tell you about what the happy things that happen? Well, you don't have to worry what to watch out for, right? It's like, does it always have to be that negative? Does it have to be cops preying on you for your money? Does it have to be doctors giving whatever comes through the pipeline medically, and just like giving it out and like sort of forcing it on people and telling people like, oh, you should take this, and then everyone is like, they go and they get their boys genitally mutilated. That's called circumcision, and then they have all these injections, and there's a lot of stuff to say about maybe that those aren't so good, maybe not. I'm not saying that they are or not. Might want to watch out for them, I don't know. But then they have all these psychiatric drugs where they're not really helping you with your emotions, they're just like maybe like deadening your emotions, or like whatever. Then they have like all these wars going on, and they have all these like people high up in government, and they're supposed to be like the good people or the upstanding people protecting you, but it turns out like they might be on some kind of Epstein messages. And then you have Deepak Chopra and like other people, and they might be on Epstein messages, and it seems like a lot of darkness. It actually doesn't seem like much good at all. It doesn't seem like a yin yang. It seems like a tiny bit of a yin and almost everything of a yang. So you got all that. You got this gang stalkery stuff. You have all the negativity in music and stuff. All this like all these children just being like programmed into these like horrible like losing their innocence and stuff. You have this all this indoctrination in schools. Children being taken away from their parents, so that if the mother's a stay-at-home mother, she's got nothing to do because she used to raise her children. Now teachers are raising her children for most of the day, to the point where kids, as I've talked about, they fairly frequently, I remember this happening anyway, they'll accidentally call a teacher mom. You think that's just nothing? This is a dark world. There's a lot of dark stuff going on. It's like, oh, Matt, okay, it's a dark world. We get it. It's like, yeah, gang stalking, dark world, serpent in the Bible, Chelsea Clinton video of her like seeming having a transformation seemingly. Now, one of the most common things to make fun of, just like, by the way, The Secret is one of the most common things to make fun of in spirituality. And yet The Secret, it's just the law of attraction. It seems like that might be the most powerful idea in spirituality. And it's like, oh, it's just a secret. It's just positive affirmations. They make fun of positive affirmations, which Scott Adams talks about how he literally wrote down, I, Scott Adams, will be a famous cartoonist. And then he's writing in Win Bigly, like, and I'm writing this on my laptop on a beach, and it happened. I wrote affirmations, and it happened. You go back to the book before that in the Winning Trilogy, he talks about all these times he wrote affirmations, and each of the times he mentions, it happened. It happened. It happened. It happened. Then you look at The Secret, and it's like, what you focus on, you get, etc. And it's like these things that are so powerful. It's like, oh, what's the first thing people make fun of? Positive affirmations. Like you hear Tony Robbins. I'm not talking about positive affirmations. I'm talking about incantations. Incantation, interesting, right? I'm not looking to make fun of Tony. But you look at everybody like, oh, The Secret's just about materialism. Even somebody like Matt McKinley, it's like, oh, The Secret is just about getting a new car or something. It's like, it's not just about getting a new car. I'm not trying to shit on him. I'm just saying, like, this is an example of one of the most powerful things, and it's right out there for you. It's called literally The Secret with sort of a satanic S, just like the S in Scientology. I'm not saying that's satanic, but it is kind of interesting. like it's the two triangles that come together to form sort of an S shape and that, etc., or with the S. I've got the Scientology book right here. Actually, I'm like I don't say this. I don't say this making fun of Scientology. I think Scientology. Look into the the Xenu thing, the aliens. It's like, well, maybe indeed the aliens. I don't know, but this book isn't about aliens. This book is about strategies for living your life, and it's very interesting. I'd say go to Scientology.tv, check out the documentary. It's interesting stuff. And it's like, oh, but everyone hates Scientology. It's like, yeah, wow, oh, everyone hates Scientology. Well, maybe that means there's something there. But in any case, then you go to the conspiracy community, and people don't generally necessarily agree on stuff. Well, there might be some things. It's like generally, it's like, okay, yeah, these people don't have our best interests in mind. Like, generally, you won't get a lot of people who are like, oh yeah, like I love mainstream culture, but they're a big truther and stuff. But the one thing most people seem to agree on is that reptilians is just silly. You got Alan Watt talking about David Icke. And he says like, oh, what won't. He's like, oh, if you're coming to hear about reptilians and stuff, like, why don't you look for that sensationalist stuff elsewhere, or something like that. Like, oh man, what wonders will you be made to believe in? He's not the only one, though. It seems like even David Icke himself stopped talking about reptilians so much. You look at like his past X books, the past X books that I got from him anyway, the newer ones, he rarely talks about reptilians at all. And it's like, oh, so positive affirmations, the law of attraction, um, reptilians. These all seem to be fairly powerful topics, and they're all fairly widely maligned in the culture that we all say is kind of shitty. But oh no, but these things, of course, these things are bad because The Secret's just about materialism, and positive affirmations are just nothing, right? It just doesn't do it. It's like, oh, have you ever done them? Haven't they worked? Have you ever done The Secret? Didn't it work pretty well? It's like, okay, and then so you look at the reptilians, and it's like, huh? But wait a second. In the Bible, the evil was represented by a serpent. Oh wow! And wherever you go in the world, or not wherever you go, maybe, but what's the most famous like sort of mythological creature that is like sort of an evil monster? Well, I think probably the king of them is the dragon. And you look at the Richard Bandler and John Grinder books, and what's in the background like of this like these like sorceress women like waving like their hand as they uncover reality for you. What's flying around in the background on like at least on transformations and frogs into princes? It's dragons. It's dragons. Why are there dragons there? I read Frogs and the Princes. I was waiting for them to talk about the dragons. It was a good book, but they didn't talk about dragons at all. It's like, okay, well, what? Dragons represent like the mental holdbacks or like the monsters in our minds or something. They didn't mention dragons. Like they didn't really mention a lot and much that it could be analogous to that. I was hoping they would, because I was looking at that and I was like, why do they seem to have that? All I'm saying is, it seems like the way everything fits together, I think reptilians actually seems to be the most reasonable answer. That sounds hilarious. Maybe not the most reasonable, but it seems like the simplest and the most simple answer in the way of being the most clean.